Because I know you'll be asking the question that health is developed. Why are we doing it? Health service assessment.
Yes, and we will get back to that particular launch of the health facility census in a short while, which is happening at Afya House. And remember, that particular launch program is just in tandem with what the government intends to make sure that it bolsters health access, health access to the health services access to the population. But Mr. Ambrose, we're talking about the suitability of some of the sports that you've talked about, that maybe after the volleyball, football and basketball, which were at the Kikoska Games, and maybe how, you know, how the county did, you know, the performance that you did well in all the three sports, right?
Yes.
What did you really pick from that sport, from that performance? And what are the positive that we can pick? A number of players that are being scouted already, because you're working with various scouts who are at that particular, who graced the event.
Yes, our performance in the KISA Games was very impressive. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you that it has been work for some years, mm-hmm. because we started with our very own local talent, and for several years they have been growing. Mm-hmm. This year was the optimum of that talent development. Mm-hmm. And so out of that, as we managed to have the first position in football girls, 2 of them already have joined Gaspo, mm-hmm. which was the runners-up in the Women Premier League. And then we have other players, like 4 of them in volleyball, who are awaiting recruitment in various disciplined forces. In basketball, we've already had some of them who have received scholarships in various universities for study.
Yes. Let's get back to Afya House and listening to the launch of the health facility, which is being led by the health CS, Susan Nahumicha.
To give us your speech and eventually launch this assessment for us. Karibu sana. Let's welcome him with clap. Thank you.
Thank you, CS. We can be seated. Thank you, CS. I want to confirm that relationship that you've talked about has been growing and is much better than all the years we've ever had the devolved levels of government. The CS, the Ministry of Health, Madam Nakumincha, the Chair of the Health Committee of the National Assembly, Dr. Pukose, the PSCs of the Ministry of Health, PS Hari Kimtai, PS Mary Muriuki, the ever-acting Director General, Dr. Moth, the CEO of Nursing Council of Kenya, Dr. Edna Talam, all the other ministry senior government officials, and our teams that are going out there to carry out the exercise, and the members of the fourth estate. I am here not only as what has been given the privilege to be the chief guest of the day, but I'm also here on behalf of the Council of Governors to say that we are part and parcel of this exercise, and we are giving it a nod, and we are not walking alone in this. We are together. And because I'm here on behalf of governors, allow me to say what the Council of Governors needed to say, then I'll say what I needed to say as a person thereafter. Happy to join you here today at the health facility. This census comes at an opportune time when both county governments and the national government are focused on strengthening primary health care services as a vehicle to attain health coverage. As you know, we have a noble task for ensuring all Kenyans have access to high quality services when and where they need them. financial catastrophe. This health facility census activity will contribute towards that goal and help us better operationalize all the networks in Kenya. And in this regard, let me take this early opportunity to say that county governments and the Council of Governors are with you closely throughout this activity, MCS and the ministry. Gentlemen, the primary care central Kenya health agenda main component for the Kenya's Vision 2030 and the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. Indeed, evidence has linked good primary health care systems to improved health outcomes, such as skilled deliveries, immunization coverage, and antenatal care. Additionally, effective primary health care services reduce the number of people needing services from higher level health facilities, improve referral mechanism, and improve the overall cost efficiency of the health systems. Despite this, primary health care has over the years remained very poorly financed, quite fragmented, and has a very, very weak referral link in the health systems. These are the gaps that this government, both at the county and the national level, are addressing as we move forward. Finally, the Council of Governors remains fully committed to maintain the momentum and focus on attaining universal health coverage. We will work in collaboration, in cooperation and consultation with all the stakeholders, including the national government, for the delivery of quality, affordable, accessible care to all the Kenyan citizens. That is what the Council of Governors needed to say. Allow me to say as a person and as one of the consumers of this very important exercise, because health is devolved and it is one that takes a lot of our energy, budget, and even resources. First and foremost, CS, we welcome the gesture of devolving a few doctors from the ministry. We know you are adored with the best that there can be. They may be out of time, been out of touch with what happens in the wards, but I can assure you they will play a very big role in ensuring that those wards and those systems usually run professionally, because we are struggling under the weight of burden, or we are struggling at the burden of shortage of doctors, shortage of health personnel that counties can only afford. It's only that when you're devolving them, I'll request that you fully devolve them, because sometimes we have gaps when you devolve to us. Officers who still answer to the ministry, they are usually lost in between. You're looking for them and they say that we are in the ministry. So when you devolve them fully, including the payroll, but not the resources. You devolve the payroll, but you still pay them from here. We will be taking care of the figures, you take care of the monies, and we take care of the staff. I want to thank Dr. Pukose for coming up with that idea. I served with him in the National Assembly. At one point, he was my vice chair for health. And I was always wondering why Dr. Pukose, because I was comparing him with...
Yes, and that's the Tharaka Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki speaking at that particular function where the CS for Health, Susan Nakhumicha, is expected to launch the health facility census, a groundbreaking initiative by the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the World Health Organization that aims to assess and also enhance health delivery across the country. And of course, Muthomi Njuki, speaking on behalf of the Council of Governors, and spoke about how that particular launch and how that particular initiative will fill the gaps in primary health and also ensure that the universal health coverage is realized. So we'll be taking you back to that particular function when the CES are ready to address the congregation at that particular meeting. But back to our discussion, of course, we also centering our discussion discussion today on Sports Check on the achievements and the gains of sports as a devolved function, right? And with me is Ambrose Kisovi, the sports director for Makueni. Yes, Ambrose, so, and facilities has been one of the major factors, in programs or projects to, help spur the growth of sports or promote sports anywhere in the world, right?
Yes.
And when we talk about this, Makueni has been in the spotlight for about Water Stadium and its completion. But you can talk about the program that the county has as far as maybe constructing or building other facilities in the county.
Yes. Water Stadium we have been promised that it will resume soon, so we are really enthusiastic that we will see it coming to life in the shortest period of time. However, as Makueni County, we've been able to focus on crucial fields in every ward. Every ward identified a very crucial and central field that they would wish, that is majorly used by the sports people. And therefore we would rehabilitate and put goalposts that are standard and level and make sure that the drainage is okay, so that at least every ward has a place where they can do their games. However, at the headquarters, as I said earlier, we've been able to identify some places, and right now we have operationalized 2 talent centers, one at Ngaka in Makindu Ward, and another one in Makutano in Evingoni and Zambani Ward. However, there are some other wards that have set aside land that they would wish to construct a full talent center. And these are like Maswangaleni is coming in, Kidhungo Kitundu is coming in with a 5-acre piece of land. And so we are looking forward to having now advanced facilities. The governor himself has said that one of his flagship things that he wants to see within the next 5 years or so is to have an indoor sports complex in Makueni. My minister Nicholas and my chief officer Catherine, they have already talked to the minister for lands, Dr. Sonia, and his chief officer Daudi, and they have agreed to give us a 5-acre piece of land adjacent to the Water Stadium. And this one now we are undertaking to construct an indoor, state-of-the-art indoor arena that we can help us to undertake indoor games and indoor activities with ease. Therefore, that is what we are looking at. We've also been given by the Department of Infrastructure a team of technical officials, QSAs and engineers, for us to walk around and see which fields or grounds need to be improved. And therefore, one of the target is the Sultan Hamoud Stadium, which is along Mombasa Road. And so we are working with that team to ensure that all the fields that are done are up to standard. We're also looking forward to work with partners to ensure that our hospital in Makindu has a wing that is specifically addresses injuries pertaining sports injuries. This will also help because of the Mombasa Road. Remember, Mombasa Road is prone to many accidents, but also some of our sports injuries that we get will be referred to that specific wing to be addressed, so that our sportsmen don't get out of play just because of an injury that would have been addressed easily. Yes. Yes,
and how you are Ligi Mashinani, right? And
yes.
This runs does it run in tandem with other, let's say if it's football, basketball or volleyball, does it run in tandem with other, with the national leagues, or what's the sync?
Yes, yes, it does. To initiate League Mashinani, when we got to Makueni as a county government in 2014, so by that period, 2014-2015, it was very surprising at the grassroots that you would visit a volleyball team training. Once they are done with training, they would sit down to change, and probably you are waiting for them to have a word with them. When they are seated changing, they are talking about EPL, Europe, football. And you look at them and you wonder, but these are volleyballers. So at what point do they speak about their game locally and even internationally? Because they're ever talking about football. So with that, we created some awareness, and we said that before we talk about the European games, we should be able to speak about our own games. And that's how we initiated the League Mashinani. And therefore, League Mashinani takes a replica of the National League and even the EPL. Teams are able to produce fixtures, digital, and even tables of standings, and they post everywhere. So the youth take that by themselves, and so what the steps that are being taken by the Premier League are the same steps that League Mashinani takes. Therefore, we are in tandem, and we are looking forward even to improvement of that. If you go to a place where we have some wards that have really drawn a lot of attention for teams, and they have initiated a Premier League and then a Division 1, and now they are saying they need a Division 2. And that is where it is. And so if you come around now, we have the spirit and momentum of a Premier League in the wards coming up. And therefore, we are in tandem with what happens locally, nationally, and internationally. Yes.
And also, which means that the League Mashinani is like a springboard of talent.
Yes.
So how do you make sure that it flies?
As we speak now, we have been able to treat every ward as a state. And therefore, every ward now, remember I said that we have a lot of cooperation from the members of the county assembly, and therefore they have been able to allocate money in their wards, at least 1 million shillings for every ward. And therefore, once that money is allocated in the budget, as a government, we go back to the people and do public participation, of course guided in what they really need as a ward. So they will line up whether they need uniforms, they need balls and all that. Part of what they do is development of technical officials and exposure. Therefore, within the exposure component, teams are able to travel. As a ward team, they're able to travel outside Makueni County for build-up matches, and they're also able to invite and take care of scouts who come to see the finals of the League Mashinani at the ward. And therefore, that one ensures for us that our scouts, national scouts, are able to see the talent at the grassroots. We operate on a philosophy that we have good talent in this country, but the best of the best is still deep in the grassroots. It's not yet discovered. Therefore, our effort will always be to have exposure and identification and detection to the deepest level of the county as much as possible.
And now how does the county government work with the legislators from respective areas in making sure that they support the activities in the county, because there is also an allocation in the county development fund, the National County Development Fund, that should be going to the sport. So how does the county government tap into that?
We have a very good relationship between the executive and the legislature. And so during the budgeting, normally we have a sitting to guide the county assembly, members of the county assembly, on what they really need to allocate funds for. And we champion for sports to be given some more funding. Remember, even in national government and county governments, sports is the least funded activity. And so we usually have a discussion, and they ensure that they allocate money for sports. Within our ward sports councils, where the money is, the public participation for the money is done and executed, we invite that a member, an officer from the office of the member of the county assembly, is an ex-official in the ward sports council to ensure that oversight is done throughout, and the member of the county assembly is well briefed on how the resources and the progress of what has been allocated is being used. Yes,
and all this, you can rate it as having been successful so far?
Very successful. Very successful, because now, even right now, we are planning that in every ward we will have a road race, which of course after the road race we will get the best athletes, and this will culminate into a county half marathon that we will be doing very soon. Therefore, this cooperation has been very, very cordial, and we are always exchanging ideas and having discussions on the progress and the ways to improve on this. The members of the county assembly are very upbeat on talent development for their youth. Yes.
And now, how do you make Makueni a destination for sports? And could this be one of the big ideas behind, the programs that are currently running?
Yes, we want Makueni to be the place for sports. Our slogan goes by the name Home of the Pure Talent. So we are very keen on picking the raw talent and bringing it up. We are inviting national federations to bring their activities, tournaments, and whatever activities to Makueni we will be able to support. Just to mention to you, we've been able to do beach volleyball and beach handball because Makueni is blessed with a lot of rivers, and our conservation for sand is top-notch. Therefore, we have a lot of sand available. So we are doing these games. So we are going to invite even the National Olympic Committee to undertake beach games in Makueni. And what we did in 2018, just before COVID set in terms of beach handball, we have seen one of our players that we started with beach handball make it to the beach national team, which was in Tunisia.
Nice one.
Yes.
Nice one. And those are the great strides. Of course, we're still talking to Ambrose Kisoi, the sports director for Makueni, and it's a devolution week, so we're talking about sports as a devolved function and what have been the gains. But let's go over to the Bomas of Kenya, where the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza talks are set to commence today, and we do have a reporter from Report on the Ground, Abdi Aziz, who is ready to fill us in.
Well, good morning to you as well, Okumu, and our dear viewers. Just you have rightly put it, the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza teams will be meeting here once more in the Bomas of Kenya. We do understand that today it will all about be the agenda. You do know that Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, our dear viewers, had different issues, with Azimio leading with the cost of living and, of course, to the compensation of the people who allegedly lost their lives during the protests, the 3-day cycles or the 3 cycles of the Maandamano protests that were held against the government. The bone contention of that particular issue was all about the cost of living. Now that will be the main issue today. Will they agree on the agendas that will be on the table? The only agenda that we can notify you, our dear viewers, so far they can be able to talk about is the embedment of the Prime Cabinet Secretary into the Constitution, the official position of the opposition leader, as well as the 2/3 gender rule, and of course the inquisition on to the CDF funds. Those are the issues they can agree on. But you do understand, numerously we have witnessed the Kenya Kwanza faithfuls led by the chairman, that is Kikuyu Member of Parliament, and the National Assembly Majority Leader, that is Kimani Ichung'wah, clearly stating that the issue of inclusivity as well as the cost of living will be a no-go zone. Last time we were here, it was on Wednesday, if I can remember, and they clearly stipulated that they will form technical committees to look into the agenda issue. We do understand that the technical committee on the Azimio side, led by the former legislator, that is Jeremiah Kioni, and on the other side of Kenya Kwanza, had time to meet and of course to discuss on various matters that will be placed on the table today. So we do understand the chairs of both the Azimio side, who is Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, and the chair of the Kenya Kwanza side, who is the majority leader in the National Assembly Kimani Ichung'wah, will be steering their members to discuss that particular issue. So it will also be interesting to see if us, the members of the Fourth Estate, will be allowed to cover. You do remember it was a major issue if the members of the Fourth Estate will be allowed to cover this issue. On the Azimio side, we heard it, they were saying that they require this thing to be watched by Kenyans so that they can see which side is, of course, invested in seeing the country moving forward. Of course, you do know also the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga yesterday met with the staunch supporter of the president, that is Joe Biden, Senator Cruz is already in the country making his rounds. We saw shadow diplomacy between him and the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga. And of course, in his rendezvous, we do understand he'll also be meeting with President William Ruto in a matter of days. That is a matter of wait and see. But we'll see if the rendezvous that have been made by the senator will also be included in this particular talk. So we've seen a number of people coming up with petitions. We saw last week William Kamket, the Tiati Member of Parliament, coming here with petitions. Of course, when you talk about the amendment of the Prime Cabinet Secretary's office as well as creating an office for the opposition leader, it means that you'll be looking into taking consideration of the Constitution. But Okumu, we are here to give you the wall-to-wall coverage of this particular proceedings. As and when it starts, we'll duly inform you and our dear viewers. Back to you, Okumu.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Abdiaziz. With the latest from the commencement of the talks between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, we'll have the developments from that particular bipartisan talks in a subsequent bulletins at 1 p.m. and during the rest of the day. Yes, Mr. Kisoi, how about you talked about the good tidings that have come by just Makueni County trying what has not been tried, and we can pick on the beach volleyballer, right?
Yes.
As one of the perfect examples of not being limited to anything, right?
Yes.
So that means that the potential is there. So what next as we wind up?
What next is just to have an expansive program, because remember that if you don't expand, if you don't keep on expanding, then there is congestion. For example, depending on the county, every county has a game that is very dominant. That is the first thing. You have to settle that game and then go to others. And therefore, our philosophy now is diversification, to have as many disciplines as possible and be able to produce any kind of athlete that this country needs to have will come from Makueni. That is our spirit.
Yes, and I've been speaking to Ambrose Kisoi, who is also the Secretary General for the Kenya Basketball Federation, just in case you forgot, but also Sports Director for Makueni County, and he was one of the key people who are behind Makueni's run, the Kenya Inter-County Youth Sports Association Games, which they did register some outstanding performances in the three disciplines, that's volleyball, football, as well as basketball. We wish you all the best.
Yes.
And indeed, we will be seeking to have Makueni County produce its blueprint for the sports, which should be copied by the rest of the counties as Kenya marks 10 years of devolution. Yes, of course. And that's the first segment of our interview today with Mr. Ambrose Kisoi. Next up, we'll be talking about Kenya's sojourn in the forthcoming World Athletics Championships, which should be kicking off on the 19th to 27th of August. Who is in Kenya's team? Of course, we talked about that earlier on when they were picked a month ago, but of course, there have been a number of 1 or 2 cases where athletes have already pulled out. But what are some of the major battles expected on the track when the games begin, when the championship begins in Budapest? I'll be engaging sports and athletics writer Dennis Okeyo, who's also in the studio. But let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
There are times when reason becomes unclear in the heart. Isabel Montalban will now convert paradise into a land of the wild. She knows her heart is true to one of the Oteros, but is not quite sure who of the three it is. In these wild lands, it is the rule of heart that is supreme. In wild lands.
She hasn't just taken this title, she's absolutely obliterated the whole field. 3:52.96.
It's a big stage, big names and big expectations. An immersive celebration of athleticism. More than 2,000 athletes from over 200 countries will compete in 49 events. Drawing inspiration from past memorable outings, Team Kenya is looking ahead for a remarkable feat in the forthcoming World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary in Central Europe. Witness the wonders from Budapest, Hungary on 19th through to the 27th of August, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We'll let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
And yes, welcome back. This is the Sports Check. I'm Bernard Okumu, and I'm talking to Dennis Okeo, athlete or sports writer, but basically athletics is his forte. So I have made no mistake when I talk about athletes writer, right? Because he writes what athletes do, and that's running. But we're here to talk about what's ahead of the athletes. That's the World Athletics Championships, which will be beginning on 19th to 27th of this month in Budapest, Hungary. Remember, the championship will also be live on KBC Channel 1. I'll be bringing you the action, so don't you miss any medal that will be won by the Kenyans. And also, they'll be looking forward to improve on their 4th place finish, Dennis. What are the chances? Of course, I remember when the team was picked that particular weekend. After that weekend, we were here and we really dissected the squad that was named then. But there are changes. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about now. It's already known. And all the teams, all the countries have already paraded their squads out there. And now Kenya's chances at this championship, 4th place finish in Oregon last year. What are the possibilities and the impossibilities as well?
Thank you, Bernard, for having me once again. It's always good and great to be here at KBC Channel 1.
Yeah.
Yes, Yeah, well, it's 1 month since I was here, and yeah, the team has been in a great preparation, and definitely, yeah, when you go for war, you go to win. Yeah, and if we check the team that Kenya managed to pick, yeah, there's a huge chance of getting a better results considered to what Kenya achieved in Eugene last year. Yes.
And of course that's our experience, or rather our expectations back here is for them to surpass that particular performance in Oregon, right? Yes. But let's talk about the little changes, so some of the minor changes that have happened to the squad that was selected in July up to date.
Yes, there's a slight changes there, and also an addition of 4x1. 4x1 was they made it to the qualification standard, but they were omitted by other athletes Kenya, obviously because of by the time they were getting qualification standard in Botswana, yeah, one of the team member has since been suspended over doping allegation, and that's the reason why athletes Kenya didn't want to risk to field in 4x1. Yeah, so 4x4 will be there, and mixed relay as well will be there. Yes, and other changes in the team is yeah, Ismail Kirui is a youngster coming in, yeah, to replace Gibiwot Kandie. That's a former World Half record holder. Yeah, he pulled out because of injury, he cited injury, and he will not be representing the country in Budapest. Yeah. Then Brenda Chebet, she was listed to run in 1500, and she will be not going. She will not be going to Budapest. Yes.
And of course, what would be the reason for Chebet dropping out?
Brenda, I think it maybe probably is anti-doping regulation. Yeah, but it's not yet very clear. But she has left the camp. Yes,
indeed. And of course, talking about the 4x100 meters relay, Athletics Kenya terming it as a cautious move.
Sure. Yeah, actually, we considering the number and the caliber of athletes who competed there, we had a chance of getting to final. Yeah, unfortunately, one of the team members, the quartet, that's Imeta, he has been suspended, so he cannot compete. And Athletics Kenya had a chance of fielding another athlete to replace, but unfortunately, yeah, if they had made another qualification with a different team, yeah, they could have fielded the team in Budapest. But in this case, they opted not to field because they had not made the similar time they made in Botswana in May. Yeah, so they opted no. We just leave it like that. Yeah,
and that's the similar. What would have befell them is a similar fate that did happen to the Jamaican team.
Sure. Yeah. So they avoided such scenario.
Yes, and what are the pitfalls, the dangers of if this happens? Of course, there's the usual being stripped of the medals, but they're long term.
It's also the protecting of the country's name. That's the major protection point, because they don't want to risk, and then the name Kenya will be like, oh, Team Kenya fielded a team, and the squad that made that qualification standard, one of the team member was suspended, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so they avoided that.
Yes, indeed. And talking about, where the battles will be drawn, right? Right now, it's, everyone is talking about the 5,000 meters women's race.
Yes, that's definitely will be an East African affair. Yeah, looking at the caliber of athletes fielded in that field. You look at Ethiopia, there's Sege. Yeah, she's in a good form, coming to Kenya. Having Faith doubling 1500 and 5,000, having broken the record with a span of 7 days, going ahead again, breaking the mile in Monaco. I mean, it's a point, it's a pinpoint point, where the battle will be.
Yes. Do you think it's? To Faith winning it it will be totally different. What kind of level will her triumphing elevate it to?
Yeah, she will be on be at the top of the world. She was already at the top of the world.
Yes.
But now, you know, once you have a world record on your cabinet, yeah, you need a world title. Yeah. Remember, world championship title is heavier. Yeah. And having both world record and the world title, I mean, she'll be on another level. Yes.
She'll be beyond the greatest of all time,
sure,
as they say. And also looking at the times that particular, the lineup in that race, the four of them, Lilian Kasait, Faith Kipyegon and Margaret Chelimo, as well as Beatrice Chebet, they all had, they've done it under 15, or so to say.
Yeah, all of them, they're sub 15.
Yes.
And Margaret, she's very experienced. She's, if you look at her performance over the years, she's always there, the final, and making the top 3. She is always on the podium. Yeah, and having now, they have to team up with the Faith, and again, look at this Kasait. We saw how she performed at the national trials, and she went again and give a good performance at the national trials. Yeah, national championship and national trial. She's the only person who could match Faith to the end. So I mean, yeah, looking at that event and having also the Dutch woman, Sifan Hassan, will make the race more interesting. Yes.
And of course, she also did attempt going for a double at the previous Olympics in Tokyo.
Yeah, she's still going to double. Yeah.
Do you think she has more energy left in her legs?
Sure, she's a very strong candidate for podium position, so you can't rule her out, definitely. Yeah.
And Margaret Chelimo, of course, medaling at this...
Both Olympic?
Yes.
And World Championship, in Eugene last year.
Yes.
So she's also a medal prospect.
Yeah. And it will be a very great honor to the GTM, the general team manager for the team that was at the Commonwealth Games. That's Janet Jepkoskei, who she's been under her wing.
Yeah. Actually, they work in the same management with the Janet. So the people, and they're in the same team again. Yeah. So this is something that maybe will be a motivation factor for her.
Yeah. And I remember her talking about how she talked her out of the middle races to switch to
longer distance.
To long distance, and it has really paid for her. Yeah.
But again, you know, traditionally Kenyans, we've been looking at the distance running, and for the first time we will be having Omanyala, going for the medal. Yeah, not just participating, but now going for the medal. If Omanyala will be able to get a gold medal, definitely will be the first African, to win a gold medal at the World Championship, and actually be the first person, athlete away from Jamaica and USA, to win the World Championship since 2002 when Kim Collins of St. Kitts and Nevis won the race.
And I mean, how important will this be?
This is a huge motivation factor, especially to the upcoming sprinters. They're now looking up to Omanyala to deliver. And the fact now remains that he's not going to participate. He's going for the medal bracket positions. Yes.
Yeah.
And anything less than that, you'll be underperformance from him. Yeah. You look at how he has managed to run the Diamond League.
Yes.
He started in Rabat. He finished third. He went on to Florence. Yeah. He was second. Then again proceeded to Paris. He was second. Yeah. Then finally won his first Diamond League, in Monaco. Yeah. So look at the consistency. He has throughout the season has been within the medal brackets.
Yes, and talking about Omanyala winning his first DL meeting, that's in Monaco, right?
Yes.
But there are also Kenyan athletes who did miss out, who did lose for the first time in the Diamond League meeting. We're talking about Emmanuel Wanyonyi in the 800 meters. But we can talk about the full team. How?
Yes, 800 is I can say it's an open, but Kenyans have advantage. Yeah, you look at Emmanuel Correa, he has not been performing very well. He has ran 3 Diamond League in this season, finishing outside the top 3. But again, you look at the youngster who is trained by Janet Jacobs-Gay in Kapsabet, Emmanuel Wanyonyi. He is very good, super good. And having in the team also, you see there's Kipngetich Ngeno, the 2018 World Under-20 silver medalist. Yeah, he has had some setbacks, but finally he has found his way to the national team once again. So if Kenya can deploy a teamwork, definitely it's actually very simple for Kenya to get a podium sweep in Budapest.
Yes, yeah. And of course, and also the one of the changes or rules that have been announced this year's championship also affects the 800 meters, Dennis.
Sure. You know, the World Athletics said that once an athlete pull out, they don't want the space to go empty. They look at the next nearest person who missed out on the final to come in and fill the void. Yeah, that's which I feel that personally that's a good idea. Yeah.
And this, how will it enhance the athletes' experience in the games?
Everyone wants to run at the final. Yeah, if you get you finish 9th, you finish 10th, and the person who finished first pulled out, definitely you get a chance to come in. Yeah, you will be called a final world championship finalist. Yeah.
Ferguson Rotich, would this be what we say a swan song for him?
Ferguson Rotich is a championship athlete. You look at his record. Normally he struggle along the way, but by the time you reach the final, he sneaks in and gets into medal position. He has done it for the last, I think, 4 years. Yeah, and he definitely can still do it in Budapest. Yes.
Where will Kenya's threat in this particular race?
Kenyan threats will come from Jemeni, Suleiman, the two from Algeria. Then there is Marco Arop. Marco Arop from Canada.
Canada, yes.
Yes. He's in a good form also, and he has won several races. I think he's actually the event world leader currently. Yes. So he's someone to watch out for. Yeah.
And the water and the barrier race, it's the first time that the race, the Olympic title and the world title is not being held by a Kenyan.
Actually, it's even embarrassing to say that we are going to World Championship and not sure, if we can get a medal position. Leave alone it's now we are not even talking about gold medal here. We're just talking about other position, lesser medals, the silver and bronze. Yes, but there's a young guy, Simon Kimboi from Bomet. Yeah, he finished first. He won the nationals. He won also the trials. But by the time he was winning the trials, he had not clocked the required qualification standard. But he went to Monaco and won massively, and definitely will be someone to look for. Yeah. Then there's Abraham Kibuwot. Yeah, he somehow managed to win Commonwealth. Then Leonard Betts, also from Bomet. Yeah.
So and of course, two men were in Oregon. This particular lineup. Right?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's Kibiwot and Bet.
And Bet, yes. Yeah. And their performance, of course, was not in the medal.
What can that's traditionally it has been our race. Yeah, if we finish something less than medal position, that's underperformance. Yeah, But you look on the corresponding women event on the same.
Yes.
Yeah, Beatrice Chebet, she's back in her top form. Definitely, and remember, she's still the reigning world record holder. He lost last year. She lost last year, but this time around, I'm pretty sure she's going to reclaim. Yeah, but then there's a youngster called Jacqueline Chepkoech. Yeah, there are now two Chepkoech there. Then Faith Cherotich, the two youngsters coming in, to compete. Yeah, I think there I'm at 80% sure of getting a gold medal.
Yeah, and do you think that the Moroccan who's holding Sofia Bakali, who's holding the two titles, looking at how his form has been throughout the season, building to Hungary, what will be the takeaway for the Kenyan team? Yeah.
Definitely, when you look at the performance of athletes in Diamond League Series and World Championship, there's normally a slight difference. Yeah, you find Diamond League, they have pacemakers, and here there's no pacemakers. Then you have to run like 3 races, in a span of 10 days. Yeah, actually 7 days. Yeah. Somehow athletes get tired, and you can't be sure with championship.
Yes, indeed. And let's talk about the field events, and we only have one man going. His qualification and how he attained it. They were talking about javelin, Julius Yego.
Yes,
former silver winner.
Yeah, Yego is making is trying to make a comeback to the table of big men,
where he belongs.
He used to belong there, but currently they're struggling a bit. You look at the level of the finalists at the Olympic and again World Championship last year, and you look all the finalists, they were throwing something 86 and above. And to be honest, Yego, he has struggled to achieve 85 meter mark. In fact, he did not get the qualification standard. He went into the team as an area champion, that's African champion, from last year. That's the reason why he was drafted into the team.
Well, he has not been able to shake off the injury and regain his fitness.
He's not at. I can even actually say he's less than 70% level.
And also maybe what's encouraging is that Trinidad Tobago, there was a Kenyan lady, Caroline Anyango, who did throw 45.5 in Tobago during the Commonwealth Games and finished 4th though outside the medal bracket. But that's
those are some of the youngsters who should be given guidelines and supported to be the next champion.
Yes, and also maybe how quick should we expect them to get integrated into the senior team? We can talk about their achievements.
Normally the transition period is 2 years. Once you are 18 years, you need 2 years preparation to get into senior team. So someone in that's 2028 Olympics, those are people we expect to be in the team. Yes, those youngsters, especially those, you see the clique that were in Trinidad and Tobago, and they managed to get quite a number of medals there. They finished 6th globally.
Overall, yes.
And I think third in Africa, because South Africa was the top in Africa, and then Nigeria and Kenya.
Yes, and or maybe, and some of the athletes who've really transitioned so fast into the team, maybe going to the past decade or the decade that has gone by. One of them is Janet, how it was 6 when she won the junior title in Jamaica, and then the following year she was in the senior team, winning in Osaka.
Yes. But even this time around, you look at Emmanuel Wanyonyi, he was in a superior form when he dominated the under 20, and now he finished 4th actually in Eugene last year, and going to Hungary, is among those people who is being cited to win the gold medal for the country.
Yes, indeed. We're speaking with Dennis Okeyo, a sports writer, but more so specifically athletics. And of course, we're talking about the national athletics team that's headed to Hungary for the World Athletics Championship, which are set to begin on 19th to 27th. Remember, the games will be live on KBC. More about the team and looking at the battlefronts that Kenya has to win in Hungary, but also we filling in on what's happening in the world of the current affairs. And let's link up with Junei in Mombasa, where the members of the Kenya Teachers Colleges Principals Association are set to hold a 4-day annual conference, and they'll be talking about, among other issues, the education reform, the teacher educator in the era of education reform. Junei, pick it up.
Good morning, Bernard. Yes, it is a busy morning here in Mombasa. However, today we'll be talking matters sports, and I'm joined by the CECM for Mombasa County, Kenneth Ambani, just to give us a status quo on the plans that Mombasa County has in relations to sports, elevating the status quo of Kenya in hosting games such as the African Cup of Nations. To put it more into perspective, there are some requirements that Kenya has to meet. For example, for it to host, we need to have stadiums with capacity from 15,000 to 30,000, as well as 5-star hotels to ensure that these games are hosted. One of this county that may meet such requirements is Mombasa County, bearing in mind it is the tourism hub of Kenya. However, Mombasa County is lacking international studies that can accommodate such games. Now, I'm joined by the CCM for Mombasa County, just to give us a perspective in this financial year or this 5-year term, the Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir administration, what is it looking into to ensure that Kenya is put on the map when it comes to investing in sports, as well as hosting the Africa Cup of Nations, as well as the mini stadiums that have already been constructed here in Mombasa County during the former administration, the Hassan Joe administration, but however they have a capacity to accommodate about 3,000 to 2,000 fans at a go. So there is a contentious issue about the Mombasa Stadium. He will be telling us all of this, but let's just get a perspective of what exactly they're planning this financial year when it comes to matter sports. Karibu sana Bwana Waziri. How much has been allocated this financial year, and what are the immediate plans that the Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir administration intends to undertake?
Well, I can just tell you that there is sufficient funds that have been allocated, more specifically for the sports docket within Mombasa. We are aware that, yes, AFCON is concerned about our hosting of the games, but we also want to assure Kenyans, and more specifically Mombasa citizens, that the county government of Mombasa is keen on ensuring that our stadiums, so to speak, are in good shape well before the time comes. The funds allocated, more specifically for the stadiums, I can speak about the mini stadiums that we're working on right now. There is Uwanja wa Mbuzi, there is Bomu, where His Excellency the Governor was just the other day. I think we were discussing that off camera. And then there is Mwahima Stadium in Likoni that I'm embarking on more or less immediately, because one thing we have to plan when we get into government, and you got to realize that His Excellency Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir came into power, I think slightly after, several months after everybody else had settled. So for him to settle and even get his waziris in place actually took another 6 months or so. And within the 6 months, yes, we got into office. Now I think we've been in the office for about 4 months. We've been embarking on the planning process, because I can tell you the structures that were there were not very conducive for the plans that His Excellency has. So as Waziris, we embarked on coming up with proper structures to ensure that things work as per His Excellency's vision. Now, We already have the BQs that are in place. We are working closely with our Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, and they have delivered on that. That I can assure people of Mombasa. They have delivered on that, and this specifically is for the 3 grounds that we are looking at, because specifically football, I believe, is what AFCON is looking at. Now, within, I think, a span of about a month or so, after we have done the contracting process, we will get a contractor in place, and for sure they will embark on this work. The plan that we have is within the next 6 months, we should actually have proper stadiums in place, so that not only for AFCON, but even for our national Premier League and our local leagues within Mombasa. Yes.
Just for the sake of our viewers, to just paint a picture, it will be unfair to put you to task on the former administration's wrongs or rights. However, during the former tenure, we saw that an allocation of 1.7 billion, that was the last figure that we had, was allocated, and a Turkish firm was given that contract to develop Mombasa Stadium. However, until to date, the Mombasa Stadium issue has remained a contentious issue, and there is no commitment from the administration as to when and what developments that will take place so that the Mombasa Stadium can, because I understand it has the capacity that is required, the 15,000 to 40,000 per se that is required by AFCON. I'm sure that stadium can accommodate. However, the media has done several stories on the failures of this stadium. We are not attributing these mistakes to your administration currently. However, you're the one in office, you're wearing the shoes. What exactly have you planned? And I'm sure it was one of the queries you had while you're being grilled during your interviews.
I will tell you what, I'm very passionate about that stadium. This is one place that we saw the superstars that we all dreamt of emulating. While I was growing up, I went to Alidina Visram High School. I sometimes used to walk to my home in Bakarani, and on my way to Bakarani, that's the same route I was taking, and we used to go through the stadium actually to watch the beautiful matches that we used to watch. I remember we used to host Sekafa matches and so many international matches. Apart from that, I remember then KFF was actually doing their games there. Right now we have Mbaraki that is hosting our only team in the Premier League, and that is not good enough. So yes, even when I went for the interviews, this is one of the items that was on the agenda. And yes, I've been working closely with my governor, His Excellency Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir, and we've been discussing this at length. Like I said, for the last 3 or so months, the deliberations have been about this. You remember just the other day, and I think this was open in the media, just the other day the Senate was here, the Public Accounts Committee. They had audit queries about the same ground. And what you just said is what we are embracing. We are not throwing blame games anywhere. We have looked at the books. Honestly, it was a huge project that the county itself, based on the resources that we receive from the national government and the little that we are actually getting from the on-source revenue, we could not hack this. So the support that we were waiting for was from the national government and the resources that was coming from the national government. You remember for the last, I think, several months or so, there's been a delay in the trickling down of the finances that was coming from the national government. And this also impacted on the previous government's push to ensure that this is done. It was a huge project. Basketball will be in there. There'll be swimming in there, and so many other sporting activities. So honestly, it's a huge thing. And the plan that we have, and I think it is also in the media, in the public eye, that the governor articulated himself very well. And he said that we have 3 plans. One, he's talking to the national government. Just like they have done stadiums in Nyeri, they have done stadiums in Embu, and so many other places, we are actually talking to the national government to see if they can assist us as part of the national government to actually finish off the project, because what is remaining is not so huge, and it's also not very little money that is required. So that is in the pipeline, and it's actually still ongoing. Then there is the other plan that His Excellency has, that yes, we will embark on doing this, but we will do it piecemeal. Slowly, because we have 5 years in office. Within the next probably year or two, I believe people of Mombasa, the residents of Mombasa and Kenya at large, will be able to see the progress as it goes, if we are taking it as the county 100%.
So what you're saying is your administration is sure by 5 years that stadium will be near complete, if not complete?
This is an assurance that I'm giving the people of Mombasa. The third option was to go PPP. Public-private partnership, where now, that again takes a process. The National Treasury has got to get involved and all this. And this, because of the length of the time, we are actually embarking on either utilizing our resources from within and go piecemeal, because the contractor has been kind enough with us and he's decided to just relax and wait until we are ready. The national government, we are still doing that process of discussion, and hopefully we will get somewhere, because I believe it was Public Works that was actually sent to come and do the audit, how much has been spent and how much is yet to be spent. And the national government is looking at the figures so that they can come back with a reply to us. But an assurance is, yes, we are thinking about that stadium. Apart from all the others, we are thinking about that stadium. And it is so key to our manifesto to ensure that within the next 5 years, the stadium will be ready to be used.
There are 10 community teams currently that are recognized and playing in some of the leagues that visit Mombasa or go away from the county. However, there is a need for stadiums, mini stadium, not the big stadiums, mini stadiums. 75 million shillings, 85 million shillings went into the already existing mini stadiums. However, as we had talked before, the governor was furious about the whole plan about it. As a county administration, are we going to see renovation works that will take a longer time, because urbanization also has contributed to the fact that there are no empty spaces for the county to invest in matters stadiums? But what will you do with the current ones that are still there, and what vision do you have, and just to assure the residents of Mombasa?
The ones that we are embarking on right now, if you look at the measurements, they are not in line with the measurements of FIFA. That is one. And of course, we cannot host any matches there. Why? Because the first and foremost item that FIFA looks at is the measurement. Now, we have put that into the BQs that we're working with. So generally, the seating arrangement will have to be moved so that we get the correct measurements, as it were. You're talking about urbanization, and yes, urbanization has really affected us. And because of, again, lack of proper structures or probably proper management, you will realize that some of the spaces that our young men and women who are using to do sports have been taken over by private individuals. Our governor, His Excellency Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, actually called for a meeting of all of us, the executive and the chief officers. And the instruction is that we need to identify all our properties now, secure them, have titles for all these properties, and then move forward. For a very long time, I actually did not know this, but we got to realize that yes, we had properties that were basically taken from the municipal council that were not properly secured. In essence, no titles. So we're in that process of actually titling most of our properties that we have. We have social halls at the same time. There are some spaces that some people were actually encroaching within the spaces that we had within where the social halls are. Why do we have social halls? Social halls are places where our young men and women were supposed to be meeting and doing their creative works and actually meeting and doing some things that are progressive. This is where our mamas were supposed to meet with their chamas and even make progress with whatever plans they have for their chamas. But unfortunately, we got to realize that there was encroachment, and even the management of the same, when I came into the office, was not well managed. So what I'm doing as the Waziri currently, I'm securing all these spaces, I'm securing all these properties that we have, so that first of all, after securing them, we make sure that they're titled, and then going forward, we make sure that even if there is any form of revenue that comes in, it goes into the right place, the county, so that that same money that comes into the county will be able to refurbish these sporting spaces going forward, so that we don't have a situation where, yes, we've constructed a stadium and we are not refurbishing these stadiums in good time and even keeping them up to standard as it's supposed to be. We don't want a situation where our social halls look like there is no government. You know, we don't want situations where our people don't have spaces to go and do sporting activities. I'll give you an example. Freetown, for example. We did the refurbishment of Freetown ground. But unfortunately, there is a community that calls itself Freetown Descendants Community. They came to me. Initially, there was a tug of war between them and the county government for a very long time. But I sat with them and I asked them one question. Do you have the title for this space? Yes, you were born there. Yes, your fathers and grandfathers were born there. We appreciate that. But time has moved. You've talked about urbanization. The people from the rural areas have come to the city. And there are so many people who have come in. Today, a Luo is marrying a Luya within Mombasa. Giriama is marrying the other person. And this is the community within Freetown that we're dealing with. Human beings, young people, boys and girls, who are able to utilize that space. So this is the direction we are going. And the question that I asked them was, do you have title for this? And they did not have an answer for me. And to date, they have never come back to me. Why? Because as a county, we have title for that space. And what are we doing? We are basically repossessing all these spaces and giving it to the rightful people, but managed rightfully by the county government of Mombasa.
Okay. As we wind up, the issue of sports tourism, I'm sure Mombasa has the capacity or the willingness to host something like the country championships, marathons. We have so many. We have seen it in other cities that are sister cities to Mombasa. What are some of the plans that you have as we wind up for sports tourism to come back to Mombasa, as well as the beach games that could be very famous here? We have seen private companies trying to promote, for example, Red Bull was in South Coast just doing some of the beach games. What plans as an administration as you wind up in promoting sports tourism here in Mombasa?
The beaches are a natural resource. The waters that we have here, the ocean, is a natural resource that God gave us that should actually benefit the people of Mombasa. And that, like I told you, for the last 3 months, we were at the planning stage. We are getting into the execution stage. And the execution stage starts now. Very soon, you'll actually see so many activities within our beaches and within our waters. Sports affiliated. And I'm currently working with the recognized sports organizations. I'm working with Kenya Hockey Union. Just the other day, they had hockey beach hockey at Bamburi. I think it was in the public domain. Just the other day, you remember we had rugby at Mombasa Sports Club, and we are also now bringing rugby to our beaches. I will tell you what, where I am right now, this is Pride Inn. Why Pride Inn? Because this is the pride of Africa. Mombasa prides itself with executive hotels, beautiful hotels, great spaces that anyone out there would love to come to. And because now I'm working in collaboration with several stakeholders within the sporting fraternity, we're actually looking at coming up with so many sporting activities that are water affiliated and are beach affiliated. So this is just an assurance that I cannot give you details because we are closing. I cannot give you details, but this is an assurance that you will see Mombasa in your media houses every single day doing something to do with the beaches that we were given by the Almighty to actually benefit the people of Mombasa.
We actually saw the Stanchart Marathon also hosted. The argument is, why are we not having such marathons here in Mombasa? If you wind up in 1 minute.
The standard marathon is going to Nairobi. The pre-standard marathon was actually held here. They actually came to us and we assisted them host this. And it was done in collaboration with environmentalists, where people, wherever they were ending this walk come marathon run, they actually went planting trees. So that is just one of the many that we are actually coming up with. I can tell you, there were no structures. We are coming up with new structures of actually ensuring that this happens. And for the last 3 months, I've just told you, there are so many plans that we have in place, not only for the people of Mombasa, but for the people of this great country of Kenya.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Kenneth Ambani, the CECM here in Mombasa County for sports, just giving us a very good detail on the roadmap that they have of the Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir administrations in matters sports. We've talked about the stadiums, we've talked about the sports tourism and many other factors that will help not only Mombasa County but also Kenya put it on a global map when it comes to actively hosting games, as well as putting Kenya on a global map when it comes to matters sports. Yes, there are several activities happening in Mombasa. There are principals currently at the Voyager meeting up just to deliberate on some of their issues. In the afternoon, the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen, is at the port of Mombasa, also doing his works on that other side. We'll be giving you more details in a subsequent bulletins. But as for now, I'm Juni Karisa from Mombasa County. Handing back to you, Bernard Okumu, in studio.
Thank you so much, Juni Karisa. We're speaking to the committee executive member for sports, that's Ken Ambani, Mombasa County. And just a recap of what he's talked about in that particular brilliant interview by June is about the funds allocation for the completion and revamping of 3 playing grounds. That's Uwanja wa Mbuzi, Bomu, and Mwahima Stadium in Likoni, which he said that in 6 months they could be talking about something so different following the allocation of the funds, and that people in those specific areas should expect to use those facilities, as well as the building or completion of Mombasa Stadium, whose construction works has been ongoing for quite some time now, and said that they'll be engaging the national government to come in and see the completion of that particular important facility. And of course about the potential that lies in the natural beaches in Mombasa, that's sports tourism, and how that potential can be tapped and maximized for the benefit of the country, if not just the county. But back to maybe we have what we have left on the national team and expectations, as well as we looking at how they could the projections of their performance in the forthcoming World Athletics Championship. But Dennis, we haven't talked about the marathon, the men's team and the women's team, but we can begin by the women's team. The composition, you know, it's a mixture of experience and the upcoming.
Yeah, sure. When the team was picked up, you remember, Kevin Kiptum and Kamororo, they pulled out. But again, you check out the level, the caliber of athletes that are left. That's the Titans. Yeah, you look at the Titans and
Timothy and Joshua.
Yes. Timothy actually, he's ranked 3rd in the world currently. He has a best of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 50 seconds. That's give him an edge over the rest. Yeah, but you look at their main competitors, that's Ethiopia. Look at the Tumirat Tola, the reigning world champion. He's in a good form. Yeah, the Kenyan team will have to be at their best to contain him. Yes. On the corresponding women side, Kenya entered Shailene, then Sally, then Mary Wanjiru. Mary Wanjiru won Tokyo Marathon earlier this year. That was in February. So she's going there as one of the favorite to win. Yeah, but again, remember, Ethiopia is still there. So I can pretty say that the marathon team will be a battle between Ethiopian and Kenyan.
And Kenya. Yes, and Sally Chepego Kaptich, who has 220.
Yeah, Sally is the most experienced there at 36. She has represented the country in a numerous occasions. She won silver in world half some years back. Yeah, probably she will be in a good position to medal in Budapest. Yeah.
And also maybe let's look at the 1500 meters, the women's race. Do you think Faith will be like under pressure to deliver in a field that also has 3 other Kenyans?
Faith, I don't think she has won everything. I mean, at her level, she's not even under any pressure. In fact, other competitors, they're under pressure to beat her. She's the person to beat.
True, that's so correct.
Yeah, and when I do my medal countdown, yeah, I feel that 1500 meter women, 5000 meter men, women are in safe hands. Just as even 800 is very open. Yeah, remember I think Mo, she pulled out. Yeah, and the main competitor now will be Kelly Hutchinson from Britain in 800. Where Mary Moran, she has been in a good form throughout the season. Yes, and she's expected to deliver. Yeah,
and of course she did set the national 400 meters record.
Yes,
the
exactly.
trials. Yes,
exactly. So that's the caliber of form. Yeah, she's taking to Budapest. Yeah,
and also maybe the build up to that, as you mentioned, has been brilliant. And how?
Yeah, the build up has been seamless. Yeah, to say for her and majority all the team member. Yeah.
Yes, and maybe she'll be ready. She'll be inching to edge out Kelly Hutchinson this time around.
Yeah, she has beaten Kelly Hutchinson once this season. Yeah, but again, if you look closely, Kelly, she hasn't competed in many races. I think maybe 2 or 3 this season. Yeah.
Penina, Penina Mutisia, who has maybe coming into this particular one with. Just slightly,
she ran a sub 2 at the Kenyan trial. No one knew about her. I first saw her during the AK weekend meet. Actually, this year I think it was the first time. Yeah, she was coming out and competing at the top level and going. She doesn't have much experience. Yeah, we haven't seen much of her performance at the international level. Yeah, in fact, this is the first time she's flying out. Yeah.
So she's allowed to make mistakes?
Yeah, she's young. Yeah, why not? She can make mistake. Yeah, and remember, by day two will have 100 meter men finals and 10,000 meter. Yes, where we hope Kenya can get good performance and definitely open up medal hunt.
Yes, indeed. For Omanyala, it will be a race like no other.
Sure.
Forget about Oregon and what was happening ahead, heading to that particular final.
Yeah, the preparation was the best.
Yeah, getting to the semi-final really brought out all the potential, the belief that Kenyans have in him, and also that what he has in himself, that he can deliver at that stage.
Sure.
So it will be a great one to watch. Remember, KBC Channel 1 will be bringing you the championship that begins on the 19th of this month through to the 27th of August. That's in Budapest, Hungary, the World Championship. So Penina Mutisia can be allowed to make mistakes in the 800 meters, while Mary Mora has to clinch it this time round in the 800 meters. Remember, she also did do really a good switch from her mainstay.
She started as a 400 meter sprinter, then progressed to lap.
Yes, indeed. I've been engaging Dennis Okeo, who is a sports writer, more so conversant with matters athletics, on today's Sports Check. And also we had Ambrose Kisoi, who spoke about sports as a devolved function and was taking us through how Makueni has really taken that particular role. He's a director of sports in that particular county. Thank you so much for for watching Sports Checker today. I'm Bernardo Okumu, Kurunzi Mashinani by Nancy Okwari. It's right up next. See you next time.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Lang'ata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga,